From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN Noon News.
Good afternoon and welcome to your MTN Noon News for this Monday. I'm Don Hudson. It's great to be with you. And let's get right to our top story. And that story takes us to Idaho. However, it's being felt by first responders across the country and across Montana. At least 2 firefighters are dead and multiple others injured after being ambushed while fighting a fire in Coeur d'Alene. That shooting taking place on Canfield Mountain with the suspect shooting at the firefighters. The gunman also continued to shoot at law enforcement well into Sunday evening. The Cotina County Sheriff there says the fire was intentionally set to draw first responders to the scene. The FBI director is now saying that the agency is sending assets to support the situation. A shelter in place that was issued in the area has since been lifted. As mentioned, the impact of the shooting in Coeur d'Alene is being felt here in Montana. The Montana State Council professional firefighters released a statement last night saying in part, quote, "The loss of 2 Idaho firefighters in the line of duty is a tragedy that shakes the entire fire service family." It goes on to say the Montana professional firefighters are locking arms with our brothers and sisters in Idaho. We stand with the professional firefighters of Idaho now and in the days to come. The Senate continues to debate President Trump's so-called Big Beautiful Bill, but now one portion of it is officially off the table. A controversial push to sell off some public lands in the West has been stripped from the Senate's version of that budget bill. Utah Senator Mike Lee pulled his revised proposal over the weekend to allow the sale of BLM land, but not Forest Service acres. He backed down just days after the Senate parliamentarian ruled his original plan broke chamber rules. Now, Montana's public lands were already excluded thanks to strong pushback from the state's delegation. Senators Tim Sheehy and Steve Daines praised the move, calling it a win.
The entire Montana delegation has been united on this for the entire time. Representative Zeni, Troy Downing, myself, and Senator Daines have been united that this wasn't right for Montana. We're proud to fix it. Public lands belong in public hands. We're going to prevent the largest tax increase in American history with this bill. Proud to get it done.
Now, the legislation would extend tax cuts from President Trump's first term. It would remove taxes on tips and overtime and increases spending for defense and border security. Opponents of the bill argue it would also make significant cuts to Medicaid and food stamp programs. The president hopes to have that bill on his desk by July 4th. Honoring the life of Jeffrey Zeni. Jeff died in March at Red Lodge Mountain during a stretch of really erratic winds. Now his wife Megan is shifting gears, turning grief into a tribute with a memorial car show on the 26th of July, which is Jeff's birthday. This afternoon, she tells our Andrea Lutz that she's inviting the community to come out along for the ride, to swap stories, to rev up their memories, and keep Jeff's legacy in motion.
On the superhighway of life,
he had that infectious laugh.
the passenger you choose
He's just so outgoing and
can shape the journey.
he was amazing. I don't have enough words to describe the person that he was.
Megan sat in Jeff's passenger seat for 18 years.
And I laugh about it too because I remember saying the next guy I date's gonna have a nice car. Well, in high school, I guess that was an important thing. So I laugh about it now, but we texted each other and the rest was history.
But now,
Been definitely overwhelming.
she's behind the wheel.
The amount of support that we have received was really eye-opening.
Jeff's passion for cars wasn't just a hobby.
Oh my gosh, I want to say upwards of 17, I think, altogether. It kind of became to the point where I would always laugh because he could never pass up a deal.
It's how he connected with his community.
One of the most special cars is in Salt Lake City right now, and it's a 71 Nissan Skyline. And he's been restoring that for well over 10 years.
It's why Megan's inviting the community to remember him the way he lived, with heart, surrounded by horsepower.
The community was so special to him. And we are going to have a memorial to honor him doing something that he loved the most, which was cars. So we are having it on his birthday, which is Saturday, July 26th.
At Virtuoso Detail, a few of Jeff's cars still shine.
I guess I've always thought of myself as an artist.
Jeff's love for small business also ran deep.
Almost always he was like, I drove this car and it got dirty, so I'd love to bring it over, and he was always trying to keep me keep me busy as much as he could. And
CRX is also really important.
Although the road ahead feels uncertain,
Kind of restores your faith in humanity when something like this happens.
Megan knows Jeff's story doesn't end here.
It's larger than life.
Always in motion, never waiting for tomorrow.
He just had such a zest for life. He was always I'm not going to wait until I retire to live. I'm going to do it now.
And in the rear view, the miles traveled together and memories left in the tread.
Looking back, I'm glad that he did what he wanted and he lived.
Because for Jeff, perhaps life wasn't about the destination, but always about the drive.
Megan is encouraging car enthusiasts to enter their cars into the show. Again, Jeff's Memorial Car Show, Saturday, July 26, 10 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon at the MSU Billings parking garage. Proceeds, by the way, will benefit the communities of Fishtail and Nye.
We are enjoying lots of sunshine across the state. Some areas seeing a little bit of a haze with some of the wildfire smoke out there. Not much in terms of problematic with the air quality. Just some shots around the region. A great shot from our state capitol there in Helena and Butte. Looking good. Looking fantastic. Look at that blue sky over Miles City right now. We're looking great in Billings as well. Look at that sunshine all across Montana, down in northern parts of Wyoming. 70s and 80s right now. We're getting warmer and we ain't seen nothing yet. Some of us maybe as early as today trying to get into the 90s. We'll see that the next couple of days. For some, Wednesday could see close to 100 degrees. We'll take a look at that forecast coming up.
Time now for today's leading look as we follow some of the other stories making headlines across Montana. Montana's Superintendent of Public Instruction, Susie Hedelin, is accused of driving under the influence. According to court documents, police in Belgrade and Gatlin County pulled her over for suspected speeding at the intersection of Jackrabbit Lane and Amsterdam Road just before 1 a.m. on Sunday, June 22nd. She allegedly refused to provide a breath sample. However, officers obtained a blood sample after obtaining a search warrant. She was arrested and cited for first offense driving under the influence. A statement from Hedelin released first to the Lee State News Bureau, who broke the story. She apologized and said she will take full responsibility for her actions. Hedelin was elected to the Office of Public Instruction in 2024. Now, the fire in Jericho. I want to get you an update. This is going on just southwest of Helena. It's now 30% contained. Crews say they are beginning to downsize operations as fire behavior remains minimal. The blaze holding steady at 493 acres. The previously scheduled community meeting for 7 p.m. on Monday at the Rimini Fire Station there has been canceled, by the way. A flight restriction remains in that area near U.S. Highway 12. A national forest closure order remains in effect as well. This is the time of year when more and more salespeople start knocking at our doors, but sometimes those salespeople don't take no for an answer, and that's when they could actually be violating city ordinances. Our Isabel Sparts talked to one woman who contacted us after a very frustrating experience.
In Shepherd, Montana, residents are still reeling with thousands of dollars in property damage after a recent powerful hailstorm. Longtime resident Connie Halverson
This got beat up by the hail.
says her home suffered minor issues.
We had one window that was really leaking.
And that's when there was a knock on her door. But what followed was unexpected.
Very invasive procedure. Boundaries were definitely crossed that should not have been.
On Wednesday, a woman from a window company, which Halverson wishes not to publicly name, showed up to offer an estimate. She eventually found the woman, inviting herself inside.
She was very aggressive, very assertive. She did a really good job at trying to sell me a product that I did not want or need.
According to Halverson, the woman had no business card on hand or visible identification. She was first quoted $36,000 to replace just 8 windows, before the price later dropped to $30,000.
She was very aggressive about me giving her a down payment. I know the routine, I know what to expect, and I also know that I have the right to say no.
Halverson says she didn't want all of her windows fixed in the first place, having a complete outdoor home renovation done in 2019 for just slightly more than the new quote. And after several hours, that sales rep finally left. But then again, 2 days later, 2 more reps from the same company were at her door.
It's not ethical. Will I ever do business with that particular company? Absolutely not.
And Halverson's experience isn't uncommon, especially after natural disasters, when homeowners may be feeling vulnerable.
In Billings, business license administrator Joanne Rindall says solicitors must have a valid business license on them. City ordinances also state that harassment and intimidation are illegal. But in unincorporated Yellowstone County, those rules seem to go out the window, leaving homeowners with fewer protections. It's why Halverson wants her experience to come as a warning to others.
If somebody tries to pressure you, that should instantly signal danger. Do not give anybody any money up front.
And that there is a right to say no.
I'm not vulnerable enough for that to happen to me, but there are so many people out there that are and need to be protected.
In Shepherd, Isabel Sparts, MTN News.